So, good evening, everyone, and welcome to this regular public meeting of Dieppe City Council this May 8th, 2017. If someone in the room in the hall needs interpretation devices, they're available.
Translation devices, they are available at the back of the room.
So, there are no announcements, though I would encourage you, dear colleagues, to have the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can change, and the wisdom to know the difference. We have a quorum. As a matter of fact, we have 100% of the councillors. It's been a couple of months that we haven't had this. So, the call to order. We have quorum. Are there any conflicts of interest concerning the agendas of today? So, without further ado, we go to the adoption of the agenda. A motion moved by Councillor Cormier, seconded by Councillor Leblanc, to adopt the agenda as presented. Are there any questions? No questions. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Carried as presented. Item 7, presentations, inquiries, and petitions. Item 7.1, inquiries by council members to Kodiak Regional RCMP. Are there any questions from members of council? Good evening, Mr. Luc Breton. Yes. It's interesting to know the name Breton. It should be easy for me to remember that because I do descend from Breton people. So no questions from members of council? No questions. And you, sir, do you have anything to mention? Yes, maybe a follow-up. Councillor Nolan had asked, I believe it was last couple of weeks ago, because I wasn't here, and it was concerning a complaint in the Aquatic Street region, the Aquatic Center in the parking lot. Just to tell you that we've had a few patrol cars to go there, and our investigators talked to people in the area. We went there at different times, a couple of times, and yes, people say that they see cars parked, but they didn't see anything that would be suspicious. So is there something else that you think that we should have done? Some of our members went there to patrol on different occasions. And so I think that the request was basically that, but maybe it could be part of their regular patrolling. We know that there were significant problems in the past in that area. Yeah, and it's just basically to increase the presence. There were some people, members of staff, ending their shifts late at night, and basically also other people walking along the trails. It's just to increase the presence there to make sure that these bad people don't come back. Yeah, I have members of the center also who communicated with me. So, you satisfied? Yes, I am. So we're still going to notify members to maybe have more patrols there. Okay, thank you. Thank you. If there's nothing, we thank you. And as always, we encourage, if you feel like it, to stay with us, but we will understand if you do leave. Presentation 7.2, downtown parking. Madame Angèle Spencer, good evening. Mr. Mayor, members of council, last fall, following a presentation on Phase 1 downtown center, specifically on downtown parking. We had given you an update on and with the specific actions in the future. So here we are tonight to talk to you about what has been done since then. I'm the spokesperson of the committee. A few services are involved. You see them on the screen. Concerning the short-term recommendations, the first one was to make available to the public some spaces of underground parking under the municipal hall in the evenings and weekends and holidays. So the first thing that was done was to give to staff that used to park on the outside, so staff that was reserved for counselors and for the fire department. So we freed 2 parking spaces outside. Concerning making it available to the public, we want to meet the market manager. They might be interested, the markets might be interested for Saturday morning. So we still have to determine the costs and finalize the agreement and make aware the staff that parks underground. So we think it would be a good idea to try it before we open it up to the public. The second recommendation would be to install clear signage to direct cars to the proper parking spots. These you have 2 examples of the signage that has been installed. There are more than 2, but the third recommendation is to expand asphalt and to put limits to the temporary parking on Acadie Avenue, creating 53 additional spaces. And the idea would be to put a crosswalk on Acadie Avenue at that place. Concerning these recommendations, we don't think it should be good to act yet because the parking doesn't meet the zoning bylaw. So we would need an agreement we have an agreement for temporary parking only, and if you want to turn it into permanent parking, there would have to be a setback of 30 meters, and that would only give 50 spaces on that piece of land, and right now there are only 42. Also, because the parking is only temporary, there's a crosswalk there at the intersection of Market and Virginia Avenues. Also, the distance to downtown is 240 meters, so we don't recommend putting in a crosswalk. Another thing also is that Acadie Avenue in that sector has pretty fast traffic, so we would need infrastructure and lights to make it secure. So we already have a crosswalk at Market Street, so we don't recommend it. The fourth recommendation would be to widen the parking on Lorraine Street, including a part of the street and other houses from the SHNB. So that work was done in fall of 2016 on the part surrounded by the red circle. That created 140 spaces when we include the green and the red sections. The fifth recommendation is to look at the underground parking incentives and to find ways to give parking to the public in the development projects. This is being reviewed by Expansion Dieppe. The sixth recommendation would be to encourage private parking owners to make their parking available to the public outside of business hours. Nothing has been done yet, but this could be considered maybe at a later time. Seventh recommendation, which would be to examine the possibility to increase parking with a parking structure. There is this ongoing study feasibility study with Expansion Dieppe, and we will be giving you details later. And the 8th recommendation is to review the regulations or offer incentives for private parking. This is being studied for requirements for new parking and new development. Now we're at the section of long-term recommendations. There's a study going on for feasibility study for a level high-rise structure and on Govan Road. In phase 2 of the downtown study, we're not recommending that because of the available space, and there's also a bike lane there. Finally, we're looking into a public parking lot. We're also looking at a structure. So the phase 2 study is going to be suggesting a site for that structure. I think next Monday you will be getting a presentation on this project. The idea is to have a plan for pay parking. We figure that during the construction of the buildings, it would be the right time to have paid parking. There have been other actions. A survey with people who work in the downtown area. We received 176 answers. 53% of the people who answered live in Dieppe, 24% in Moncton, and 23% elsewhere. So more than 95% of the people move around by car, and the other 5% between carpooling, walking, or... We also asked people how long they were ready to walk from a parking spot, and 87% of the people said that they would be ready up to 5 minutes, and only 0.6 would be ready to walk more than 5 minutes to work. We also set up a crosswalk on Market Street between Champlain and Govan. It had been put down in fall, so the paint obviously didn't last during the winter, so it's going to be repainted soon. And as I mentioned, there will be 2 reports that will be presented to you on the parking structure and also on phase 2. Thank you, Madam Spencer. Are there any questions from members of council? Councillor Godet, concerning the recommendation number 1, make public certain spaces on the parking, what kind of needs would there be concerning security? Because first of all, the city vehicles are parked there. Normally, underground parking with exit doors, there's a security guard there and there are cameras. So has there been a study made? Because we don't want to endanger the... There was a discussion, and this is why we wanted to have a trial period with the merchants. It would be an agreement that they would sign. We would know exactly who would park in the underground parking. There would also be specific times when the doors would be opened. There are cameras, I think, installed. I don't know if the other members have anything to say, but yes, there are challenges, especially if we open it to the public. Thank you. Anyone else? Thank you for the report. I think that as a municipality, we have a certain amount of way to go before we can find any solutions for parking. And I would suggest to members of council, I wouldn't want to try to suggest to anybody else except maybe the city manager, but there's a lot of literature on parking, and one specifically that really struck me. It was from Dr. Donald Shoup, S-H-O-U-P, who is an urban planner from UCLA, and who mentions a lot of, puts a lot of information on his site that is also used elsewhere in the United States. Obviously, we're talking about much bigger parking lots, but where the use of technology makes it that everybody pays for their parking, but the price varies depending on the popularity of the space. So the closer someone wants to be from where there's a lot of requests, the higher the price. The farther away you are from that, the lower the price, but everyone pays. So it's based on a question of demand, and there's a certain formula that is calculated depending on the amount of time that is used, etc. That's one example, but there are quite a few. So I would encourage my colleagues to check out these sites in order to start getting some information, and maybe to try to see if we can change our way of thinking and seeing things, the use of the car in a downtown area. I know that we all want a vibrant, lively downtown, but we also want a downtown that is with much density, therefore with maybe less traffic. I know that these objectives might be raising the bar for everyone, and maybe we're a long way away from that, being a fairly smaller city, but we still have to think about the future. So if my comments don't bring forth other questions, then once again, thank you, and have a good evening. Item number 8, questions from the public. I don't know if there are any questions from the public. If not, we'll be going to item 9, which is the adoption of minutes. Motion for the adoption of minutes, Councillor Alain, seconded by Councillor Thibodeau, on the question of the minutes of the regular council meeting of the 24th of April. No questions? All those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. The minutes of the 24th of April are adopted as presented. Item 10, 10.1, administration. Mr. Melanson, 10.1.1. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everyone. Our first subject, signing authority agreement with the Dieppe market. So just to remember, we adopted on a bylaw on the Transient Traders, and we also had mentioned that we were going to be working in partnership with the market to encourage a regrouping of transient traders. There were discussions, and before you have an agreement that puts in effect this agreement where the market can let some space in front of the market and basically to see how this could be of interest for transient traders. So we will be able, therefore, to see if this agreement is successful. So it's for your approval. Thank you. So first of all, for the reading of the resolution, Mr. Cormier. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, that the Council authorized the municipal signing officers to sign the management agreement between the City of Dieppe and Coopérative Horticole de la Récolte de Chez Nous Limitée regarding the management of transient traders on a portion of the parking lot on the property situated at 301 Acadie Avenue, PID 70442470, and at the 232 Govan Road, PID 70442413. So moved. Moved by Councillor Cormier, seconded by Councillor Arsenault. On the question, Monsieur Godet. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You remember during the discussions that we had on the traders, it was a commitment, and it's part of the regulation, that there would be discussions with the market to have a spot to be able to sell their wares. In reading the document, I realized that, according to me, maybe it's too restrictive a document in the sense that the document can only permit market operations during the opening hours of the market. In other words, a Saturday. So the rest of the week, the market couldn't do anything to have agreements with transient traders. Afterwards, I talked to Monsieur Paul-Émile, the manager of the market, and I asked him the question, is it a problem for him to have agreements with transient traders during the week? And he said, no, it's not a problem. He was concerned about the use of toilets, but there are toilets where the merchants can go to. And he said that he would be ready to support the idea. And the reason why he wants to support this idea is that if we restrict this agreement to the business hours of the market, he will be stuck with the whole question of deciding what is permitted and what is not permitted concerning all the merchants in the market. So he has to look into these possibility that there would be a competition. On the outside of the market, there is not that type of a problem. So if I take the example of the red truck that everybody knows about, they were coming there on Monday afternoon from in Dieppe region to sell some vegetables during the week. So if they wanted to go to the market on Monday afternoon, that would not be permitted under this agreement. So I would like to make a motion that would permit, with the agreement of the manager, the management of transient traders for 7 days of the week rather than just during the business hours of the market. So the motion is that with the agreement of the manager of the Dieppe market, that the agreement between the City of Dieppe and the market of Dieppe permit management of part of the parking to accommodate some transient traders 7 days a week. That is my motion. I don't know if anybody is ready to second the motion. Before going any farther, I would like to hear the city manager on the question. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Here, just to give you details, that this agreement is a pilot project, so there's the flexibility to the possibility to reevaluate. Also, if you are adding something to the agreement, my suggestion would be that you do something, we step back and we give you maybe a revised agreement in order to see the different possibilities on both sides. I realize that you've had a discussion with the market manager, but we have to see what kind of impact it could have on the city. So this agreement, if the council is ready to look into this, then we could bring the pros and cons in the text. I have no objection, except that it had been agreed between the manager and me that if it's just to see him during the business hours, it wouldn't be worth it, because he's too busy. He would be spending his time saying no, 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 always to the traders. So, that wasn't part of the discussion that we had. It was the idea of giving them possibilities, the transient traders possibilities outside of the business hours of the market. I don't know if that had been raised with the manager during our discussions. It would have been a good idea if we had been able to talk about this, where we can have, we could have given you a better recommendation. So could I amend my motion? Yeah, that's why I stopped everything before anybody seconded. So it's the same motion with the agreement of the Dieppe market and the city of Dieppe. That it'd be that way. Or maybe just that we could come back with a different text, a revised text. I wouldn't want to lose. Yeah, no, we understand. I think the concern here that is raised by the city manager, we've seen previously that when we change one thing, it impacts something else, and all of a sudden we found ourselves in a situation where complaints we hear complaints and we have to go back to staff. So the suggestion and the concerns of the market manager are excellent, but it should be reviewed by staff, and it should come back here, and it should be part of the discussion that we have. So we would ask staff to have you involved in the discussions, and we can come back to council with another proposition. Okay, so I take back my motion. You're okay with that? Yes, good. So the motion is to withdraw this. So maybe you should take it off the agenda and bring it back to the agenda, and it should be revised to see if it's not something that could be done also during the week for transient traders. So that brings us to 10.1.2. On breastfeeding. It was someone had come to make a presentation on breastfeeding, and they were asking the municipality to develop a policy on breastfeeding. So now the policy A38 is put in with the resolution in support, and there are specific places where there would be a comfortable area for mothers to breastfeed. So the policy is appended. So for the reading of the resolution, Madame Arsenault. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Council accept the new policy A38 entitled Policy on Breastfeeding. So moved. Moved by Councillor Arsenault, seconded by Councillor Thibodeau. On the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Resolution is carried as presented.
Du côté de l'ingénierie.
Engineering, 10.2.1, Mr. Mélenchon. So you'll see a request from a developer in front of you who is asking for closure of a part of Dieppe Boulevard. So we're not, well, no, it's not it's just the right of way, we're not proposing to close Dieppe Boulevard per se. At the beginning, there was an easement that was during a project that was finished, but here there's an easement and there's some land available that will not be used by the municipality. You have a map on your desk and you'll see exactly where this is situated. So tonight it's just to set the date of a public hearing on May 23rd to hear about the project and to consider objections and comments or support by the community for this request. So tonight we're just setting a date for the public hearing in order to hear this request according to procedure. Thank you. Who would like to read the resolution? Mr. Godet. Your Worship, that the Municipal Council schedules a public hearing on May 23rd, 2017 at 7 p.m. at the Dieppe City Hall to hear and consider objections and comments relating to the proposed bylaw C-21 entitled A Bylaw Authorizing the City of Dieppe to Permanently Close a Portion of Dieppe Boulevard, which aims to permanently close a portion of Dieppe Boulevard to all forms of vehicular traffic as outlined on Schedule A. And I so move. Moved by Councillor Godet, seconded by Councillor Leblanc on the question. All those in favour will signify by saying aye. Contrary, nay. Carried as presented. 10.2.2, the extension of the project limits for the reconstruction. Mr. Melanson. Your Worship, councillors, this is good news this evening. 2 years ago, if you will remember, we did our project, the road construction during the through the marsh, and we have no longer had any flood, and it was very well built. We even had a surplus. Last year, we asked both levels of government to amend our project to extend the length, the distance of this project. And I'd just like to mention that we've had a confirmation from both levels of government to extend the project from Chartersville Street to Melanson in order to lay the last layer of asphalt. And so tonight, this resolution would add $2,676,428.35 as additional costs, and the engineering costs of $180,000 to EXP. So this is to authorize this with both levels of government who would be partners in this as one-third, one-third, one-third. So we're asking for a budget transfer in the amount of $650,000 from the General Capital Reserve Fund. And this is for your consideration this evening. To read the resolution, thank you, Your Worship. That Council authorizes additional construction costs in the amount of $2,676,428.35 plus HST to Modern Construction 1983 Limited, as well as additional engineering costs in the amount of $180,000 plus HST to EXP, and also authorizes that these expenditures be defrayed from account number 3-3-35-58-7608, General Capital Budget, Reconstruction, Acadie Avenue, Amiro Street. That Council authorize a budget transfer in the amount of $650,000 from account number 7-4-20-12-8920, General Capital Reserve Fund, to account number 3-3-35-58-7608, General Capital Budget, Reconstruction, Acadie Avenue, Amiro Street. And I so move. It's been moved by Councillor Alain, seconded by Councillor Thibodeau on the question. No questions. All those in favour will signify by saying aye. Contrary, nay. It's carried as presented. 10.2.3. Yes, and this is a tender award for the reconstruction of Fox Creek Road. The two specifics here, we're adding a trail on one side of the road to this project between Belforêt Street right up to Amiro. And furthermore, we're raising the road, Fox Creek Road, right up to the level of the bridge on Amiro Street. So that will be done to integrate all of this. We've received 5 tenders, and the one that was chosen is from Dexter Construction Limited at the cost of $2,297,506 plus HST. And Roi Consulting, Roi Consultant, and the costs will do the engineering service at the cost of $190,000 plus HST. And we have a budget. We ask for an authorization of a budget transfer in the amount of $462,000. So this is for your consideration this evening to continue the work on Fox Creek Road this summer. Thank you. Who would like to read the resolution? Councillor Leblanc. Thank you, Your Worship. That Council awards the contract for the project entitled 217 Fox Creek Road Reconstruction to the lowest bidder, being Dexter Construction Limited, at the cost of $2,297,506 plus HST, and authorizes that this expenditure be defrayed from account number 3-3-35-58-7625, General Capital Budget, Completion, Fox Creek Road. That Council authorizes Groupe Roi Consultants Limité to undertake the engineering services for the above-mentioned project at the cost of $190,000 plus HST, and also authorizes that this expenditure be defrayed from account number 3-3-35-58-7625, General Capital Budget, Completion, Fox Creek Road. That Council authorizes a budget transfer in the amount of $462,000 from account number 7-4-20-12-8920, General Capital Reserve Fund, to account number 3-3-35-58-7625, General Capital Budget, Completion, Fox Creek Road. And I so move, Your Worship. It's been moved by Councillor Leblanc, seconded by Councillor Arsenault on the question. No questions. All those in favor of the resolution will signify by saying aye. Contrary, nay. It's carried as presented. Next item, Rue Govan. Yes, as was announced at a press conference recently, this is a part of an agreement under the federal provincial program. The federal government will pay 50%, the provincial 25%, and the municipality 25%. We received 5 tenders for the complete reconstruction of Govan between Bras-d'Or and La France roads. And we recommend MacArthur's Paving and Construction Limited for an amount of $2,289,435 plus HST, and the engineering service to WSP at the cost of $180,000 plus HST, and that this be that a budget transfer in the amount of $550,000 be conducted. So this is for your consideration this evening for Govan Road 2017. Thank you. Mr. Cormier to read the resolution. Thank you, Your Worship. That Council awards the contract for the project entitled Govan Road Reconstruction to the lowest bidder, being MacArthur's Paving and Construction Company Limited, at a cost of $2,289,435 plus HST, and authorizes that this expenditure be defrayed from account number 3-3-35-58-7634, General Capital Budget, Reconstruction, Govan Road, and account number 4-3-90-58-7634, Water and Sewer Capital Budget, Reconstruction, Govan Road. That Council authorizes WSP Canada, Inc. to undertake the engineering services for the above-mentioned project at a cost of $180,000 plus HST, and also authorizes that this expenditure be defrayed from account number 3-3-35-58-7634, General Capital Budget, Reconstruction, Govan Road, and account number 4-3-90-58-7634, Water and Sewer Capital Budget, Reconstruction, Govan Road. That Council authorizes a budget transfer in the amount of $550,000 from account number 7-4-20-12-8940, Water and Sewer Capital Reserve Fund, to account number -4-3-90-58-7634, Water and Sewer Capital Budget, Reconstruction, Govan Road, and I so move. Moved by Councillor Cormier, seconded by Councillor Nolan on the question. Mr. Alain. Yes, just a question of clarification. In our briefing note, I see that it's the extension of College Street. Is that part of the same project? Yes. There will be work done to connect the sewers towards Champlain Street, to connect College Street. And the construction is planned to start in May, right up to October, but College Street will not be open this summer. No, it'll open in 2018, that's right. Yes. Thank you. If there are no further questions, all those in favor of the resolution will signify by saying aye. Contrary, nay. It's carried as presented. 10.2.5, and this is for Virginia Avenue. Once again, this is the same program that we received federal and provincial funding for the reconstruction of Virginia Avenue. Following the we received 5 tenders, and the one that is recommended is McDonald Paving and Construction Limited at a cost of $1,650,393. J.R. Daigle Engineering would undertake the engineering services at the cost of $145,000. And there are 2 reserve funds that have been planned for this at $950,000 for the first one and $361,962 in the second reserve account. So this is for your consideration this evening. Thank you. To read the resolution, Madame Arsenault. Thank you, Your Worship. The Council awards the contract for the project entitled Reconstruction of Virginia Avenue to the lowest bidder, being McDonald Paving and Construction Limited, at a cost of $1,650,393 plus HST, and authorizes that this expenditure be defrayed from account number 3-3-35-58-7631, General Capital Budget, Sewer Separation, Virginia Avenue, and account number 4-3-90-58-7631, Water and Sewer Capital Budget, Sewer Separation, Virginia Avenue. That Council authorizes J.R. Daigle Engineering to undertake the engineering services for the above-mentioned project at a cost of $145,000 plus HST, and also authorizes that this expenditure be defrayed from account number 3-3-35-58-7631, General Capital Budget, Sewer Separation, Virginia Avenue, and account number 4-3-90-58-7631, Water and Sewer Capital Budget, Sewer Separation, Virginia Avenue. That Council authorizes a budget transfer in the amount of $950,000 from account number 7-4-20-12-8920, General Capital Reserve Fund, to account number 3-3-35-58-7631, General Capital Budget, Sewer Separation, Virginia Avenue. That Council authorizes a budget transfer in the amount of $361,962 from account number 7-4-20-12-8940, Water and Sewer Capital Reserve Fund, to account number 4-3-90-58-7631, Water and Sewer Capital Budget, Sewer Separation, Virginia Avenue. And I so move it, Your Worship. It's been moved by Councillor Arsenault, seconded by Councillor Thibodeau on the question. Mr. Leblanc. Thank you, Your Worship. Just a question of clarification. Am I right in believing that these 2 amounts for transfer are part of the municipal budget of $1.3 million? Mr. Thériault. Yes, as a matter of fact, that is the case. If you're talking about the 950,000, as for example, last year, when we determined our budget for 2017, the ones that were adopted in December 2016, there was a $1.9 million that was put into the reserve fund, and the 950,000 is a part of that. And so it's the contribution of the $1.65 million. Yes, that's right. But the particularity here is that we have a project with the federal and provincial governments for water and sewerage, and the rolling surface is the responsibility of the municipality, and that's the difference in the contribution. Thank you. If there are no further questions, all those in favor will signify by saying aye. Contrary, no. It's carried as presented. As you can see, we've gone through $10.4 million and a couple of cents very quickly here. So we are looking after our roads and our infrastructure. Thank you. 10.3, organizational performance. 10.3.1, tender award, special transportation services. Your Worship, and this will include the next two resolutions. We do have a special transportation service for residents here. This year, we did two tenders, one for residents with wheelchairs and the others without wheelchairs. And so that was beneficial, and the rates came out lower than what they were in the past. For the first service for residents without wheelchair, we recommend that the contract be awarded to Taxi Direct New-Brunswick and the wheelchair guy. People would have flexibility to choose one or the other, and the cost is the same to the municipality. So we recommend that you authorize these two transportation services to offer this service to the residents. Who would like to read the resolution? Mr. Brideau? Thank you, Worship. That Council awards the contracts for special transportation service for residents without a wheelchair to Taxi Direct New-Brunswick and the wheelchair guy, authorizes the municipal signing officers to sign the said contracts, and also authorizes that this expenditure be defrayed from account number 1-2-35-67-2680, General Operating Budget, Public Transit, Special Needs. And I so move it, Your Worship. It's been moved by Councillor Brideau, seconded by Councillor Leblanc on the question. All those in favor of the resolution will signify by saying aye. Contrary, nay. It's carried as presented. And 10.3.2, Mr. Melanson. Well, this is the special transportation services for residents with a wheelchair, and these are more specialized type equipment, and we recommend that the contract be awarded to the wheelchair guy following a tenders received, and we recommend that this contract be signed. Thank you. To read the contract, Mr. Alain. That Council awards the contract for special transportation service for residents with a wheelchair to the wheelchair guy, authorizes the municipal signing officers to sign the said contract, and also authorizes that this expenditure be defrayed from account number 1-2-35-67-2680, General Operating Budget, Public Transit, Special Needs. And I so move. Thank you. It's been moved by Councillor Alain, seconded by Councillor Nolan on the question. All those in favor of the resolution will signify by saying aye. Contrary, nay. Carried as presented. 10.3.3, Special Transportation Service, User Fare. And following several exercises, we used a consultant, we did a study, and after an internal review, we recommend that we review, I'm sorry, was it 10.3.4? No, 10.3.3, I'm sorry. Yeah, I was faster than you were. Yes, we have to adjust to your speed. No. So what we recommend here is that in order to be fair and to give everybody an equal opportunity, even those who have a disability or those who use Kodiak Transpo services, that the fare be the same, so that the users of all of these public transit pay the same fare. The city of Moncton has already adopted that initiative, and other cities across the country offer the same type of fare for this type of service as well. We feel that it is fair, and it will allow better accessibility and it will be fair to all citizens of Dieppe, and we're very comfortable recommending this. I think that we can recover the revenues that will be, we will recover the difference by the lower price for the contracts that were just awarded. Thank you. To read the resolution, Mr. Thibodeau. Thank you, Your Worship. That Council sets the special transportation fare per ride paid by users at the same amount collected by Kodiak Transpo for a single trip within Dieppe city limits and double said fare for a single trip outside Dieppe city limits. And I so move. It's been moved by Councillor Thibodeau, seconded by Ms. Arsenault on the question. No question. All those in favor of the resolution will signify by saying aye. Contrary, nay. It's carried as presented. Now we're at 10.3.4. Thank you. Now this is an awarding the contract for the shuttle services, for the shuttle that goes beyond the limits of Kodiak Transport. We received 2 bids, and we recommend the services offered by Maurice Richard, and this would allow the signing of this contract to allow this service. Thank you. To read the resolution, Mr. Nolan. Thank you, Your Worship. That Council awards the contract for the shuttle service to Maurice Richard, authorizes the municipal signing officers to sign the said contract, and also authorizes that this expenditure be defrayed from account number 1-2-35-67-2670, General Operating Budget, Public Transit. And I so move. It's been moved by Councillor Nolan, seconded by Councillor Cormier on the question. From the General Operating Budget, yes. So it's been seconded by Councillor Cormier, yes. So on the question? No questions. So all those in favor of the resolution will signify by saying aye. Contrary, nay. It's carried as presented. 10.4.1, Planning and Development. 10.4.1, Mr. Melanson. Following a recommendation of the Planning Advisory Committee relating to the planning, we recommend that the tentative plan of the Fox Creek Golf Community Subdivision be adopted, and to provide for the extension of Kedgwick Drive, the widening of a portion of Dieppe Boulevard, and a street name change for a portion of Kedgwick Drive to Marathon Street, as indicated on the said plan. And so we're asking for the approval of Council this evening. To read the resolution, Mr. Leblanc. Thank you, Your Worship. That Council accepts the recommendation of the Planning Advisory Committee relating to the acceptance of the tentative plan of the Fox Creek Golf Community Subdivision dated April 12, 2017, which provides for the extension of Kedgwick Drive, the widening of a portion of Dieppe Boulevard, and the street name change for a portion of Kedgwick Drive to Marathon Street, as indicated on the said tentative plan. And I so move it, Your Worship. It's been moved by Councillor Leblanc, seconded by Councillor Arsenault on the question. No questions. All those in favor will signify by saying aye. Contrary, no. It's carried as presented. And 10.4.2, Mr. Melanson. Once again, this is a tentative plan for Belforest subdivision, and there's going to be the creation of a new portion of street. And so we recommend the acceptance of this tentative plan for the extension of Belforest Street and the creation of a new portion of street named Élève Street, or instead of what was proposed by the developer, that was Rue des Écoliers, but that wasn't inclusive to the girls. And so it's up to the council, but this is the recommendation of the PAC for this evening. Who would like to read the recommendation? Mrs. Arsenault? Thank you, Your Worship. The council accepts the recommendation of the Planning Advisory Committee relating to the acceptance of the tentative plan of Belforest subdivision dated March 23, 2017, and which provides for the extension of Dieppe Boulevard, the extension of Belforêt Street, as well as the creation of a new portion of street named Élève Street, or any other street name which council deems appropriate, instead of Écolier Street, as proposed. However, according to the PAC, does not include the feminine gender, and I so move, Your Worship. Moved by Councillor Arsenault, seconded by Councillor Nolan. On the question, Mr. Gaudet? Yes, just a confirmation, Your Worship. There's going to be a turnabout there, isn't there? Does that include a part of the construction of this roundabout, or Mrs. Spencer? Yes, as a matter of fact, it does include a part of it. It's going to be built by the promoter Dexter Construction at the end of Dieppe Boulevard, and that was approved at a previous meeting. Thank you. Councillor Leblanc. Thank you, Your Worship. Now, looking at this resolution, are we giving the name to the street this evening, or is this for consideration? I think we're giving that street that name this evening. Rue des Élèves, Élève Street. It's just the way that it says here, or any other street name which council deems appropriate. I was just wondering if we can still have a debate on the name of the street. Well, if it's the wish of council. No. Well, if there are there any further questions? If there are no questions, we'll know very quickly if people agree to change this to Élève Street. All those in favor of will indicate by aye, no, and so unanimously it is changed to Élève Street, Rue des Élèves. Next resolution, Public Works. We don't usually make these type of proclamations, but you're going to explain this to us, Mr. Mélenchon? Yes, we're going to try. So from May 21st to 27th is National Public Works Week, and it's a contest between all municipalities of the same category throughout the country. So by resolution, it gives a points to our candidate, to our application. That's why we have a resolution here that points out all of the great work done by our employees during the Public Works Week. We're doing this with great pleasure, and once again, because we did this in the past and we won national recognition. So it gives us great pleasure to announce this, that we're going to have a lot of programming during that week throughout the community, the week of May 21st to 27th. Thank you. Who would like to read the resolution? Councillor Brideau. Go ahead. Thank you, Your Worship. That council, the City of Dieppe Municipal Council hereby declares the week of May 21st to 27th, 2017 as National Public Works Week and encourages all residents to join municipal representatives in activities and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works engineers, technologists, employees, and administrators, and to recognize the substantial contributions they make to our municipal health and welfare. And I so move, Your Worship. It's been moved by Councillor Brideau, seconded by Councillor Thibodeau. On the question, all those in favor of the resolution will signify by saying aye. Contrary, nay. And it is carried as presented. And we appreciate all of the work done by all of our employees in public works and all of those involved in the sector for the municipality. We often receive compliments from our citizens and people from outside who are visiting here on the quality of the services offered in Dieppe. So congratulations to all of you, and please pass on the message to the rest of staff at your own meetings. Thank you. Now, for municipal bylaws, Z-9-4, Mr. Mélenchon. And this is a development on the corner of Jeannette and Govan Streets, and this to read the bylaw in its entirety, first of all, and by title afterwards. to read the bylaw in its entirety, Mr. Thibodeau? Thank you, Your Worship.
Bylaw number Z-9-4, a bylaw to amend a bylaw relating to the City of Dieppe Municipal Development Plan. The Council of the City of Dieppe, under the authority vested in it by the Community Planning Act RSNB 1973, Chapter 12, enacts as follows. A bylaw relating to the City of Dieppe Municipal Development Plan, being bylaw number Z-9, enacted on the 26th day of October 2016 and filed in the Westmoreland County Registry Office as number 355-37340 on December 15, 2015, is hereby amended as follows. Schedule A1, entitled Generalized Land Use Map, whenever it is mentioned in the text of the bylaw relating to the City of Dieppe Municipal Development Plan, is amended by the map hereto attached as Schedule A-1-4. So moved in its entirety. Moved by Councillor Thibodeau, seconded by Councillor Cormier. On the question, all those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. So the bylaw Z-9-4 is accepted in its entirety. Now we're going to go to the third reading by title only. Mr. Thibodeau, bylaw number Z-9-4, a bylaw to amend a bylaw relating to the City of Dieppe Municipal Development Plan. So moved in a third reading by title only. Moved by Councillor Thibodeau, seconded by Councillor Cormier, that we accept bylaw Z-9-4 in third reading by title. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Bylaw Z-9-4 is accepted as presented. Item 11.2, bylaw Z-10-4 to amend the City of Dieppe zoning bylaw for the Jeannette Street once again. For the reading in its entirety, Councillor Thibodeau. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Bylaw Z-10-4, a bylaw to amend the City of Dieppe zoning bylaw. The Council of the City of Dieppe, under the authority vested in it by the Community Planning Act RSNB 1973 C-12, enacts as follows. The City of Dieppe zoning bylaw, being bylaw number Z-10, enacted on the 26th day of October 2015 and filed in the Westmoreland County Registry Office as number 355-37357 on December 15th, 2015, is hereby amended as follows. Schedule A, entitled City of Dieppe Zoning Map, whenever it is mentioned in the text of the zoning bylaw, is amended by the map hereto attached as Schedule A-4. So moved. Moved by Councillor Thibodeau, seconded by Councillor Thibodeau. On the question, all those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. So bylaw Z-10-4 is adopted in its entirety. We go to the third reading now by title only. Mr. Thibodeau. Bylaw number Z-10-4, a bylaw to amend the City of Dieppe zoning bylaw. So moved by its title only. Moved by title only by Councillor Thibodeau, seconded by Councillor Godette. On the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. So bylaw Z-10-4 is accepted at its third reading. Are there any notices of motion tonight? No notices of motion. So, inquiries and announcements by members of council. And we will be starting with Councillor Godette, I believe, tonight. Nothing tonight, Mr. Mayor, thank you. Councillor Leblanc. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the sectors involved in the cleanup of the streets. I think it was mentioned at the last meeting, and I noticed that the streets are starting to be cleaned up very nicely. So I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you, that's all. Councillor Cormier. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just, I would like to invite cyclists to be careful on the streets and to invite the car drivers to be very careful when there are cyclists on the streets. And that's all for tonight. Thank you. Yes, I think it's important to say that Hélène Act was passed provincially last week, I believe. And I know very well that for cyclists who can now very often I was having problems with the word, on their handlebars to record the traffic around them. So a warning to drivers, 1 meter is the distance that there should be between drivers and cyclists. So thank you for this intervention, Mr. Cormier. Monsieur Brideau. Mr. Mayor, I just want to, I participated 2 weeks ago in the opening of a new business here in Dieppe, Advanced Power Equipment, and I would like to congratulate Paul Arsenault, the owner. Oh, Mr. Robichaud, sorry. On Melanson Street. It's a new business that just opened there, and it's always welcome. And that's all for me tonight. Thank you. As Mr. Robichaud probably mentioned, he has a couple of businesses here in Dieppe. He's one of our very active entrepreneurs, and I saw that Monsieur Daniel Leblanc had won the mower, so I will ask Mr. Daniel to please mow his lawn. Thank you. Councillor Nolan, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I had the opportunity yesterday to participate in the commemorative ceremony of the Atlantic Battle, which is a ceremony that commemorates essentially the loss of life during one of the longest battles of the Second World War, during which the Royal Canadian Navy had a force of 100,000 people in uniform, and which gave it the opportunity to become there were 210 loss of life, and there was a loss of 33 ships. So it was a ceremony that took place at the Centennial Park, and it's always on the first Sunday of the month of May, and it was a great opportunity to participate once again. And that's all for tonight. Thank you, Monsieur Thibodeau. I have nothing tonight, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Madame Arsenault. Thank you. I went to the University of Moncton for a special meeting of the Marichette Foundation, which is an organization of women to help women who have financial needs, to give them a hand in economics. The speaker at this lunch was Antonine Maillet. Everybody knows Antonine Maillet. She's a great Acadian woman. So I thought maybe to read a little bit what was in this flyer, just to give you some information, because it's not a very well-known organization. It's basically just starting up. So I'm just going to give you the Foundation Marichette is the name of a writer, Émilie C. Leblanc, who comes from Memramcook. She's a teacher, and she lived from 1873 to 1935. She published many letters in the Evangeline newspaper from 1895 to 1898. She presented herself as a mother of many children who were poor and with very little instruction. These letters were denouncing social injustices, especially concerning Acadians and women. I found it was very important to mention this here because it's not something that is well known, and it's just starting up. The Fondation Marichette also has a book out that in which you can find the letters of this Emilie, this teacher from Memramcook, who did very nice work for women. It's a beginning, and it was started in the 19th century. So kudos to Foundation, Marichette Foundation. Thank you. Councillor Alain, I have an announcement and a question for the city manager. The announcement is the Champions Evenings, in 2017. There's a championship here, so there was a cocktail with champagne and tapas on the 13th of May in Dieppe, 800 Aviation Street. The MCs are Luc Leblanc. We weren't able to have Noé Robichaud, so we're stuck with Luc Leblanc. The honorary champion is Alexandre Despatie, an Olympian diver. There will be local champions also, 3 champions from Dieppe: Philippe Myers, the hockey player; Simon Richard, who's a Paralympic, and Suzy Gautreau. They're all part of the Hall of Fame. It's presented by Assomption Vie and the National Bank, so it's a great activity here. You can get tickets at Administration tickets are available at administration at gfc.ca or. So I think it's a great evening that's going to be happening here in the city, and it's for the Jeux de la Francophonie Canadienne. A question to the city manager. Saturday morning at the market at Place 1604, the big blue gates, the hotel is going well. Is there a plan for the landscaping? You'll have to give me an okay. The climate is a factor. We wanted to work last week, but basically work is going to be starting in the next couple of days. The objective is by the end of June to have the whole site of Place 504 with landscaping completed in order to be able to welcome the summer activities for 2017. The company was working on repairing the ice rink. Basically, the work is going to be over by the end of June. I have nothing to add, so good evening to all.